Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Leroy, also known as Yorkshire Fun. Hope you're good, hope you're well. What's the channel about? Well, it's the weird and wonderful of the internet. And today I'm having a nostalgic look back on the 90s. Was the 90s the best decade? Roll tight cards, here we go. Yes, if you're joining me for the first time, hello, welcome. Don't forget to get a like and subscribe. Helps the channel, helps me out. You know what I mean? Aim for that 1,000 subscriber target. Getting there. Happy Valentine's Day. Love is in the air. And love is in the air in the Leroy household. The current wife, what card did she get me for Valentine's Day? Yes. That, basically. What a romantic. But don't worry. You make my knob throb. Oh, look, they said love is dead. Yes, today's video is all about nostalgia. Yes, it all kicked off last week. It was my best mate's son's 13th birthday. And his daughter is coming up to being 16 this year. And she's wanting to have an house party for her 16th birthday. And that were it. For like an hour, me and my friends were all reminiscing on the 90s. And was the 90s the best decade? If I asked my parents, they'd probably say the 70s. If I asked the current wife, probably say the 80s. But 90s, there's so much to look at, to talk about. So in today, this bumper-packed edition, Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day if you're watching this on the Friday, which is Valentine's Day. If not, hope you had a good one. Hope you got some... Too much? I apologise. This video might be a little bit crude in places. I'm just warning you. And please drink responsible. Just saying. So we're going to talk about the fashion, the house parties, the films, the music, those quirky Christmas presents that we thought were amazing and they kind of disappeared in time. As you look behind me, you can see I've got the Game Boy from the 80s, I've got the iPhone, the iPod from the late 90s. The 90s was a great generation. I was a teenager becoming a man. Oh yeah. Let's go. Yes, 1990. Do you know how many years ago that was? 34 years ago. Yes, the best decade. Was it the best decade? I like to think so. I mean, as I cram in this visual representation, some of the most iconic moments in 90s history, we had the beefs between Oasis and Blur. We had the Spice Girls. I want to be Baby Spice. I want to be Scary Spice. Those took that very seriously. You know what I mean? And the biggest worry that you had were keeping your Tamagotchi alive, and was your mum and dad going to tape over a bit of Euro trash, like an episode of Coronation Street on VHS? Did you put your little plastic tape over the edge so they couldn't do it? You know what I mean? Saturday night TV was absolute blinder. I mean, some made a comeback. We had Gladiators, Blind Date, Noel's House Party. There was some sketchy stuff. SMTV Live. They were just brilliant shows. TV shows, You Bet. I used to love You Bet. Pick and Mix. What about Woolworths? When you used to come buy your CDs and your tapes and they had the greatest pick and mix in the world. Basically, Woolworths were Disneyland for British kids. You walked in for one thing, you left with a big bag of pick and mix. It used to cost about a tenner. Wasn't my fault, I didn't pay for it. Thank you very much, Grandma. I mean, granted, there's a few things that we have to apologise for in the 90s UK pop culture. I mean, Crazy Frog. Yeah, Crazy Frog. I apologise now on behalf of everybody that had Crazy Frog. We had Nokia phones. Now, they were proper phones. And we gave you the internet. Yes, the dial-up. Granted, AOL were a bit like, and you couldn't make a phone call at the same time. But apart from that, the 90s was a great decade. Was it the best? Well, let's see. Welcome. So we kick off with house parties. House party. I love an house party. Still do. But when I was like a teenager, where I lived, it was a mixed area in the sense that we had working class lads, and then we had some middle class lads, some posh lads that went to our school, and we had some of my friends were living on the council estates. So it was nice to get a variety of house parties. Always remember, house parties were from being probably about 13, 14, 14 upwards, they got more and more advanced. The alcohol got more and more. And, like, I was never a pill popper, so, like, tablets were never really at the house parties that I were. Occasionally, maybe a pair of players be brought in. But, things what made me laugh were, I remember poppers, somebody bringing poppers and spilled them all over a pillar. And then when somebody fell asleep, they woke up next morning like red eyes. That were a good house party. No, but the first house parties, like, there's no parents around. Drinking games, what are we saying? Right, I've got my list. Drinking games. The legendary spin the bottle. You know what I mean? Here's a clip from Friends.
What big thing?
So, spin the bottle works like this. I spin the bottle, lands on Gunther, so I would have to kiss Gunther. All right. Who wants to go first?
Okay.
Okay.
Spin the bottle were a chance for you to basically cop off with somebody else, weren't it? And there were always some munter that managed to get in circle. So it's quite straightforward. Spin the bottle, wherever the bottom of the bottle's facing, and the other person, they have to kiss. Or it was like a truth or dare. Yeah, and then as you got a little bit older, we started playing Four Kings. Now, Four Kings, if you Google it, is like an American drinking game where it's just like you draw a 5 and you have to do like high five and touch the floor with a 6 or chicks, and it's very confusing. I don't know why Americans make it so hard. Ours were basically you all got in a circle, there were a pint glass in the middle, you got a long drink. You'd pull a card, say if it were 2, you'd pour like 2 shots or 2 splashes or whatever, and then if anybody drew a king, but we changed it to like if you drew a king, jack or queen, you'd have to have a drink of what was in the middle of the glass. Got drunk very, very fast. Probably played more of that when I was about 15, 16. Underage drinking, I do not condone it in this country. But also we used to have, I'm just looking at my notes, we used to have torpedoes. The current wife is a torpedo master. Now, the Alka-Pops that we had were Hooch, White Lightning, Spurn Off Ice, VK, Two Dogs. The introduction to Red Bull, yes, I'm that old. Yes, the 90s were, 30 odd years ago, but doesn't matter. Special Brew, Mad Dog 2020, Archers, Bacardi Breezer, Lambrini, Aftershock, Taboo, Reef, Apple Sours, Castaway, Diamond White. Now, torpedo, if you don't know what torpedo is, basically you got a bottle of something not that fizzy, so like a Reef, which was like an orange Alka-Pop. You put a straw in it, you pull the straw, and then you bend it over the bottle, and basically it took out all the air bubbles, and you down it. Now, current wife used to be able to do this in about 3 seconds with no hands, and that's why I married her. But yeah, Mad Dog 2020, I remember the Pop and Chris discos, and there were a massive playing field in Rotherham. If you're from Rotherham and you're watching this, you probably know Erenfort playing fields used to be Pop and Chris disco at Erenfort Leisure Centre before they knocked it down. And we all used to walk on a Friday night, like 14, 15-year-olds, to the Pop and Chris disco, which started about, I think it was about, I want to say 6 o'clock. And there'd always be a bottle of 2020. And the girls would be like, oh, it tastes like pop. Tastes like pop. At one end of the playing field. By the time they got to the other end, they're like throwing the guts up, all of it show. Shaggy were playing in the corner. Shaggy! Mr. Loverman. Oh, Ace of Base. There were some classic songs, but also some cheesy shit from the 90s. So yeah, so you had Spin the Bottle, Drink While You Think. Drink While You Think is a great game. I still like playing this now. So Drink While You Think is, you all get a long drink. You all around the table. You start by choosing a topic. So let's say celebrities or footballers. And you go like anti-clockwise or clockwise, wherever. It's up to you. So you've all got a drink. And I go, Michael Sheen. The person next to me would think of a name beginning with S, the surname of that. So they might say Sharon Osbourne. The next person would go, oh. But while they're thinking, they have to drink the long drink. You can get very drunk very, very quickly. It's very dangerous, but it's funny. It's funny. So yeah, so they were like, I just liked like, it were different varieties, because if you went to some of my friends in the council estate, it were like the parents were out, you'd have a try your first cigarette, you know what I mean? When you're a bit older, you might try something else and have a whitey and be put off it for many years. But, like, and then you went to like middle class one where they put a bit of spread on. Like, you'd be like, what's this? What's this house party? Parents have left some like dips and chips and stuff like that. You're like, you need a full stomach. That's all parents ever used to say to us. You need a full stomach. I'm like, yeah, but Jamie's made homemade red wine with his dad. He's drinking it. He's now throwing his guts up into the wheelie bin. It's only 8:30. There's like a trail of red wine all the way through the yard. So no. But I loved having that mixed crowd and the different house parties. I still love the house parties. I asked people on TikTok what were like their memories, and they're all like heavily being drunk or copping a feel. I remember having legend status, and then yes, I'm blowing my own trumpet. I remember being at an house party, and it was that 6-week holiday from being like to our last year, so 15 going into 16, and I remember copping off with a girl. Bit of French kissing in room at this house party with a bit of like whatever R&B were playing in the background, and then I got to kiss a friend as well, back to back. They were like sharing me like I was some special Subway sandwich, and I got legend status for about 2 weeks at school. I like gone from like the funny lad to hey, so Leroy's a bit mysterious. But we had rules with the house parties. Rules were there were no smoking inside. You didn't go into the parents' bedroom, and you cleaned up. Now, any of my friends watching this will realise that when I was drunk, and I still do this to this day, that come end at night, I was around with a black bag, picking pork cans and bottles, making it all nice and tidy because I wanted premium seats. So if I was having a sleepover, I wanted to get a bed. Because you either slept in bed, number one, weren't it, that top tier. Bath, believe it or not, the bath is quite comfy. I've slept in many a bath. Not with water in it, like, you know what I mean. Sofa, or if you're incredibly horny and very lucky, you might get maybe a living room on the floor with like a blow-up bed and maybe a chicken lady next to you. You were like 15, 16, so it was kind of like you weren't going to be doing it because there were other people in the room, you know what I mean? Not an animal. The music of the 90s was such a variety. I think this is why I've got such an eclectic taste in music to this day. Like whether it be from listening to NWA for the first time, dance music. I've talked about this when Lexi, the teenager, when we reacted to some classic songs from the 90s. Click here if you want to watch that video. But there was such great music. And like the Lead Mill, when you're like 18, Lead Mill's a very famous nightclub in Sheffield. Lots of bands play there, but also it's a great night, and they have a lot of students in Sheffield. And we used to go over, and they had a night called Shag on a Monday, where you could get a double vodka and orange juice for £1, or orange juice and vodka on its own 50p. 50p. No wonder we were battered. No wonder like toilets were always like flooding. And it stunk of piss. But we had such a good night. They had this thing where you put a name badge on, Leroy, and there were a big board, male and female, and it said like Leroy with a sticker. You could this like mobile phones were just becoming a thing, like in the late 90s, but you could like leave your number, and it said like mysterious blonde in the corner, and she'd write a number and she'd pop it in your thing. I might have got 1 or 2 numbers. 1 number from one of my mates. Okay, we move on to the movies of the 90s. Right, so the problem I've got to this day, I'm a big fan of box sets. I love a box set. I invest time in box sets. I love a good documentary. However, going to the cinema now, I don't go as much. Last film I saw were Wolverine and Deadpool. And Beetlejuice 2, because we had more variety of films. Like it's either like animation, like superpower thing, or there might be one gem in there, and it's so quick at the cinema now that you just like, oh, I fancy going to see that, and then you finally get around to go and see it, like maybe a couple of weeks later, and it's already on Sky. You're like, I want to go and see that at cinema. Top Gun 2, saw it at cinema, brilliant. But look at this list, right? This is, if you've not seen any of these films and you're a little bit younger watching this, go check out the quality. This is, I'm just going to reel off a random 10 or maybe more. So 90s top movies, right? This is why they were so good and so varied. So the top movies: Jurassic Park, Shawshank Redemption, Good Will Hunting, Matrix, Truman Show, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, The Sixth Sense, Forrest Gump, Pretty Woman, The Fugitive, Ghost, Heat, Miss Doubtfire, Sister Act. Jury's out on that one. Armageddon, Rush Hour, Happy Gilmore, Jerry Maguire, Something About Mary, American Pie, Edward Scissorhands, Malcolm X, Men in Black, Fifth Element, Friday, The Mask, Dumber and Dumber, Wayne's World, Cruel Intentions, Boys in the Hood, Three Kings. There's just like 7. Fight Club. I mean, that's literally just looking at like some of the top things. Like you got the horror movies, like all that slasher teens, like with Scream coming out of Final Destination. The 90s to me had the best genre and mix of all the decades. It was like CGI was just enough, the stories are good, they were original, the actors. I just think, me personally, 90s was the best decade for movies. I think music, it was at that point where you got vinyl, which was slowly declining. But obviously we had cassettes, we had the introduction of compact disc, MP3 obviously at the late 90s, mini disc never really took off, did it? But we just had the format, it was there. Introduction to the internet, you're welcome. You know what I mean? It was just a birth child of great music, great artists, technology. I love the 90s for this reason. And obviously the little clips and videos that I've put in this video just take you down memory lane. You're like, oh God. Like if you're watching it with your daughter or your son or like your boyfriend, or you might be older or younger, you're like, oh, it's all boomer here. Boomer's right. Even 35 or 30 years later, some of the hottest women and men that was like the pin-up girls and men from the 90s are still super sexy now. Look at Liz Early. Like Nicole Kidman, she was up there. Naomi Campbell. Like, they're still hot. Reese Witherspoon, Cameron Diaz, the lovely Drew Barrymore. You know what I mean? 30 years later, they're still like the hot list. They're still on my allowed list, according to current wife. I hope you've enjoyed this bumper pack Valentine's Day walk down memory lane of the 90s. Is it the best decade? Let me know in the comments what you enjoyed about the 90s. Don't forget, there's a new video on the channel every week. Give it a like, give it a subscribe if you're not. Hope you've enjoyed it. Happy Valentine's Day if you're watching this today. See you later. Bye. Yes, like any good DVD extra content, here is the bonus. Just like in the 90s, the Sony Discman. I had one of them. Granted, if a bit of wind got near it or you touched it ever so slightly, it used to skip. Bomb Funk and Seas, Rocker DJ, Rocker Microphone, quality song, the Sony Discman, groundbreaking, great quality. In fact, I don't know if I've got my Discman still. The Tamagotchi, yes, I talked about the Tamagotchi. If you look behind me on the shelf when I'm doing my videos, you'll see a little Tamagotchi still sealed, never being used. I probably didn't have as many Tamagotchis, but teachers in the UK actually banned them. Doc Martens. Right, I was never a fan of Doc Martens. I'm just saying, we brought it to the pop culture. They were too heavy, too bulky for me. I was all about the Adidas and the Nike trainers. But people love Doc Martens. They last forever. I think there's some weird rule that if you can get them repaired at bargain price. The Simpsons. What series are we on now? It's Simpsons, about series 200. Still going strong. Still somehow managed to predict the future. I don't know how they do it. They've had every single kind of star and celebrity on it as voiceover characters. The Simpsons is just amazing. Beanie Babies. I remember, I'm pretty sure, my dad buying shares in Beanie Babies. Or it might have been Furbies. I'm not sure. But there were massive, like, aftermarket, eBay just being released. You could make some money on Beanie Babies. Like, they were selling for stupid amount. I mean, look at that, 15 grand. Magic Eye. I don't like these. Never have. I don't understand it. I think you've either got to be stone drunk or slightly something wrong with you to be able to spot them straight away. Oh, here's Magic Eye. This is a picture of something. I don't understand what it is. I never got them. I hate Magic Eye. I'm having flashbacks now, watching this clip, doing this voiceover. I hated Magic Eye. Same with that stuff, that tie-dye. That used to do my head in. Blade clothing. Nah. I loved a bit of the flannel shirt. I still got flannel shirts now. I mean, the 90s fashion, like, especially, I think the difference between America and the UK, we had such a street sense of style. Yo-yos, they keep trying to come back since 50s, aren't they? Like, you could do tricks, then you'd end up whacking yourself on the head, nearly knocking yourself out. They weren't the best, were they? Yo-yos. We were a bit uncouth for that in the UK. Americans loved it. Performing round the world. Chain wallets. As soon as I see a chain wallet, I think goth, or somebody that's into Nirvana or Green Day. Straight away, I never had a chain wallet because I was too cool for school. Oh yeah. But you still see them now. It's not died. It's not died out. It's a trend that's kept on going. AOL account. I've still got my AOL account from the first day that we set it up. So what we're talking now, mine's probably 30. Oh my god, I'm just thinking now. It's probably about 28 years old, mine. Oh, I remember going on to Instant Messenger. You go into these little chat rooms, and I think at your birthplace, paedophiles, weren't there? There were just hundreds of weirdos in these rooms. And then you had MSN Messenger, which were great. Like, see, when your mates were on, you could send pictures and have your own photos. PlayStation. Well, I love PlayStation. Obviously, being a northern lad, we got ours specially adjusted so it could play cheaper games, if you know what I mean. You had to turn it upside down because it overheated. But it's on a PlayStation. I remember renting that from Blockbuster Videos for my 13th birthday. Me and my mates playing Ridge Racer. Right. Nobody in England had a beeper. You know what I mean? A pager. That was a very much American thing. If you had a pager, you were a drug dealer. I'm sorry. That's how it was. You were a bit dodgy. Nobody needed them. Like, we had pay-as-you-go phones launching. They didn't really take off in England. They were made for Americans. Starter jackets. The fashion from NFL, NBA really made an influence, especially on myself. I was really into started watching Michael Jordan. So I started wearing a lot of fashion. I still wear American clothing now. I purchased a New York Bronx baseball top the other day. Blockbuster card. Now, you've seen in my previous videos, I've still got my original Blockbuster video card. I used to love Blockbuster. I mean, we're quite lucky. Where I lived, we had 3 independent video shops, and then we had Blockbuster, which were like a 10-minute car journey. I used to love it. Then you used to be able to buy the films, when they were coming to the end of this life. I mean, granted, it used to cost about 75 quid for The Crow. I remember getting that on VHS before it got released in the shop. But it was brilliant. I loved Blockbuster. It was such a good, it was a full night out. The backwards baseball hat trend. Now, obviously, this clip is more American, but I've worn my baseball cap a few times backwards, mainly to protect my neck in the sun because I burn. But yeah, the crossover between American pop culture into the UK definitely was strong. See-through phones. Now, I had a phone in my bedroom. I was very lucky. I had a phone in my bedroom because I was up in the attic. So If one of my mates rung, or a lady, I could answer it. Problem is, my little dickhead brother, yes, if you're listening, Ben, used to pick up the phone downstairs and listen in. And I could hear him sniggering sometimes. We try and have a bit of private conversation with a young lady. It used to wind me up. The iMac. I couldn't afford an iMac. Jesus Christ, I still can't afford an iMac now. But yeah, iMacs. We introduced the iMac. Lovely conception. Obviously, probably Apple gave us more towards like the iPod and the iPhone, which is probably groundbreaking. But yeah, the legendary iMac. It looked amazing. It was well expensive. Only posh people could afford it. I never had one. But these are some of the like influential top 20 items from the 90s. I mean, look at Leonardo DiCaprio's face there. Wasn't he a pretty lad? Goosebumps. I always remembered it at school. They were always like put to one side, like we were going to have nightmares, like looked after. Like they're always. I think school must have paid a pretty penny for them, and that's why you had to go and ask, "Are we allowed to read these, teacher?" And they're like, "Yeah. Well, just need to write your name down." But yeah, they were good. I must admit, I had curtains. Yes, I had curtains. I had curtains right up to Matthew Perry and David Schwimmer in Friends. There were one, I can't remember what season it was, but they cut their hair. And they went from having curtains to like spiky hair, like I have to stay. But yes, I rocked them. Oversized denim. I had some oversized denim, but I never wore it so you could see my pants. I was definitely not that kind of person. But you could see it, you can still see it today, that the oversized denim is back. Look at Kendrick Lamar at Super Bowl. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a like and a follow. This has been the bonus content. See you later. Bye.